Okay, Lamar's going to throw the ball in over to Devin Williams. Devin Williams over to Michael Manette. Michael looks over to Devin. Devin fakes a little bit, shake and bake. Here we go. Oh! Devin Williams! Oh my goodness!
Hello everybody, it's great to be back. I'm Russell Lee Gurule and I'm your host of New Mexico is a Basketball State. And we are now on episode 15, the final episode of the season actually, because now we're in March and it's March Madness and the state tournament is about to begin March 5th and it's going to run all the way to March 12th. Now, to give you a breakdown, and we'll jump right into it because today I'm going to give you my 4A and 5A boys basketball picks. Who's going to win it all? Who's going to take home the blue trophy? So this is going to be really exciting. I'm excited about it, honestly. So I'll break it down real quick. March 5th is going to be the first round, and it's going to be held at the higher team site. Now, every team has a seed. There's 16 seeds. So an example would be if you're the number 1 seed and you're playing the 16th seed, well, the game will be played at the number 1 seed's home court. Now, the quarterfinal will follow the same method where the higher seed will be played at the home court. That will be played on Wednesday, March 9th. And then from there, March 11th and 12th will be played at the pit. Now, by the way, there is no requirement for a bang or a test to enter the pit to watch these games. So that's exciting news. Interesting that they would come to that. But we'll have all of that and more as I break all these down. And then after the state tournament and all the champions are crowned, I'm going to bring out my NMAA top 10 best players in the state of New Mexico after the tournament, and we'll go over how everything went down, and we'll talk about all the exciting things that happened this year and this season. So let's get right on into it. I'm going to start with 4A first. I'm going to go through all the games of the 16-team tournament for 4A boys basketball, and we'll start all the way from the top game all the way down. You can get the brackets, by the way, at the NMAA ACT.org, I believe, is the website. Just Google New Mexico Activities Association and you'll find the website and just look for information, boys basketball state tournament, and they should have the brackets up and all the pertinent information. Now, bear in mind, in the first round and the quarterfinal, these will be played at different schools. So check to see if they have any of these face covering requirements. Now, by the way, I'm going to tell you right here, I'm done with these. I'm done. Okay, I'm not doing it again. Probably going to say never going to do it again. So I am done. So if you're a school that has it, well, good luck to you. That's all I'm saying, because I am not going to go through splitting headaches and go through all that again. I did that for 2 years. Thank you very much. I've already earned my stripes. So with that being said, you know, we're already getting aggressive here. With that being said, I'm going to go right into the first round, and I'm going to just read off the brackets here. So the first round, 4A, is Highland against Mayamura, which is located in Gallup. And you have Artesia against Lovington, Albuquerque Academy against Goddard, St. Pius X against Valley, Espanola Valley, Los Alamos, Silver, Del Norte, Belen, Gallup, Hope Christian, and Taos. So we'll start with the first game, Highland against Mayamura. Now, this is going to be played at Highland High School, and I believe these starting times are at 6 o'clock. I've seen one at 4 o'clock, and that's the same with 5A. So just go ahead to NMACT or the New Mexico Activities Association, and you can find the times. So what I'm looking at here is Highland against Mayamura, and I am picking Highland to beat Mayamura. It's the #1 seed, Highland, against Mayamura at 16. So I don't think they're going to have anybody who can stop Jose Murillo or Alexis Dominguez, the top players for Highland. So that one, I see Highland moving on to the quarterfinal. And they'll have another home game. So it looks like they could have a potential of 2 home games with that. Now, the next game, the winner of this game will play Highland, according to my picks, okay? And that is #8 seed Artesia against Lovington. That'll be played at, the Bulldog gym in Artesia High School. Now, these two have faced off considerably, and they've had some close games, and I expect this one to be really tight. You have Nick Sanchez going up against Tayton Hilliard, a name that we should all get familiar with. He's a very nice player, plays good football too for Lovington, and this should be a really tight one in my opinion. If Artesia gets hot, I think they can get by Lovington, but I think it's going to be close. I think it could go either way. Usually these 8th and 9th seed games always go that way. They're always close, even in the NCAA tournament. It's always like that. So I see Artesia moving up to the quarterfinal to play Highland. That's what I'm seeing in the quarterfinal for the first game, is Highland against Artesia. Now, for our third game, it's Albuquerque Academy against Goddard. And this one here, Albuquerque Academy has had a really nice season. They've gotten a lot better over the years. This year, considering the last few years, it looked like they weren't very fundamental. And I'm going to be honest, they didn't look very fundamental the last couple of years I've seen them play. But this year, they've looked really good. They've really improved. Head coach Jake Herron has done a really nice job with them, and they've had a nice record, and they have won District 6 and 4A. So I see them playing Goddard, and Goddard is another really nice team that's played a lot of tough Eastern New Mexico teams such as Artesia and Lovington, and they've played them close, and they've gotten a few big wins, and they're kind of a dark horse. So I'm going to kind of gamble here with Goddard, the 12th seed, and I'm going to say Goddard pulls off the upset against Albuquerque Academy, and this game will be played at Academy. So I'm seeing Goddard going to the quarterfinal on this game. Off of Noah Reese, who's a really nice player, small forward, about 6'4", does a lot of nice things for them. So I'm seeing Goddard moving up to the quarterfinal. So the next game is St. Pius X against Valley. St. Pius is the 4th seed, Valley is the 13th seed, and they will play Goddard. If whoever wins this game, they'll play my pick, Goddard. Okay, so this one is going to be played at St. Pius X. Now, I'm seeing with this one, St. Pius X has a really nice player in 6'7", Brian Kolb, and he can be a big difference. He shoots outside, he gets inside, he has a few nice moves. And this is a very solid St. Pius X team this year. They've also got a nice record, and hence the 4th seed. So they look really tough, but Valley has a really patient, controlled offense, and Isaac Tapia has been a pleasant surprise this year, a real nice player to watch. The lefty has been scoring buckets and getting 3-pointers and things like that. And they play a really nice controlled offense, which gives them a chance to win any game. And so I'm picking, again, the 13th seed Valley to win over St. Pius as an upset. I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but I'm gambling this year. I'm going to do a little bit of gambling. So I'm seeing a 12th seed and a 13th seed take on each other in the quarterfinal, and that's Goddard against Valley in the quarterfinal. And if that all happens, then Goddard would play at home. They play at Roswell, so Valley would have to make the trip. So that'd be interesting. But we're going to move on now. So we got the first quarter for 2 quarterfinal games covered now, and I'll go over the quarterfinals next. So we got the next one is Espanola Valley against Los Alamos. And that's going to be played at Espanola Valley. Espanola Valley is the 3rd seed. Los Alamos is the 14th seed. And I'm going with Espanola Valley. This is a senior-laden team that's overcome a setback, losing Ollie Fell, but they've got some nice players in Rodriguez, and they've got a little bit of height, and they're fast, and they should be able to get by Los Alamos. Los Alamos has Nico Garcia, a really nice outside shooter, and they should be fairly competitive, but Espanola Valley has won a lot of big games against some 5A schools and also in the 4A, and that's why they got the 3rd seed. So I'm picking Espanola Valley to move on to the quarterfinal of the state tournament here. And so we're going to go to the next game, Silver against Del Norte. And this game, the winner will play my pick, Espanola Valley, in the quarterfinal. Now, this is very interesting. Silver is the 6th seed and Del Norte is the 11th seed. Now, Silver has a 25-2 record, right? It's really nice. They've played a lot of Arizona teams, a lot of lower classification Arizona teams, I might add. But they do have some wins against Centennial, a 5A school out of Las Cruces. And I believe they have one against Deming. But I don't think they've seen the likes of a Shane Domas Sanchez or a Judah Casas. Del Norte, on the other hand, was my pick to win the state tournament this year in the preseason. Now, they've struggled. They had the thing in the beginning of the season, and you know, Shane didn't come back till about district play, so he's just barely getting in the groove, and they've kind of they've ridden the wave where they win like 3 or 4 and then they lose 2 and then win a couple. But I think they can get by Silver. I do. I think they can, because I don't think Silver has actually played a very tough schedule at all. Kind of a padded schedule. And they might be upset at me saying that, but I mean, that's what it looks like to me. One of their losses is to Holbrook, who was a solid team in Arizona. And I had to look up what the other loss was. But either way, I'm seeing Del Norte moving up to the quarterfinal to play Espanola Valley in that game. So we got 3 quarterfinal games already set on my picks here. So now we got to get to this 4th quarterfinal game, but we got to get through 2 games here. So our next game is number 7 seed Belen against number 10 seed Gallup, and this will be played at Belen. And it sounds like it looks like that's going to be a huge sellout, so that might definitely be a game to check out. The times, I believe, might be 5 or 6 o'clock on that one on Saturday. Now, by the way, the reminder, March 5th is Saturday, and that's when all these games are played, and they're all going to be played around 4 to 5 and 6 o'clock. So definitely check your schedules. And I'm going to go on a sidebar real quick. You can go to gofan.com, find the link, and buy tickets online. I believe that's how you're going to have to do it this year, is buy tickets online in order to attend these games. So we'll get onto this real quick here. Belen has Daniel Corrales, a really nice, big 6'6" center who does a lot of nice things for them. And Gallup has 6'4" Kohanan Adazun. Now this game, I think, could be a real toss-up. If Belen is shooting well from outside, then they have the advantage because they got so much size. They go about 6'5", 6'6", 6'4", and they're really tough inside, and they're really difficult to guard. And they get a lot of hoops, a lot of buckets right there in the paint. So with that, I'm thinking they're going to get this win over Gallup, but it's going to be very tough. I think it could go either way, to be honest with you, but I'm going to go with Belen on this one. I just haven't been able to see Gallup this year. I missed my opportunity about a month ago when the schedule gods had lined, and I just wasn't able to get there. But Gallup is definitely going to give them a game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into overtime on that one. So I'm seeing Belen pulling this one out and getting to that quarterfinal, that final quarterfinal game. So let's go to our next one and our final first round game. And this is number 15 seed, Hope Christian, against number 2, Taos. And this will be played at Taos High School. Now this one, I've seen these two teams play before, and they were neck and neck all the way to the third, middle, fourth quarter, and then Taos went up another gear, and they were able to pull it off. And this time, I think they're going to be able to do it. Taos has had a really big year. They were an honorable mention in my preseason picks this year, and they've really just gone gangbusters, and they've done a marvelous job of winning. They have Damon Eli, and they have Anthony Padilla, who has been really solid, and I really like him as a player. And Hope has Jet Wyckoff and Caden Miller. So I think this one will be another close game. I really do, because it's the state tournament. And they're both well-coached teams. And I think that this one could also go into overtime. I think this could get pretty exciting. But I have to go with Taos. Taos has won a lot of close games, and they've also blown some people out. So in my fourth quarterfinal game, I'm seeing Berlin and Taos. Okay? So that's where I'm at right there. So I'm going to go through the quarterfinals real quick here, because we got a lot to cover. There's a lot of games. So in our first quarterfinal, I have Highland against Artesia. Now, this one, I'm still going Highland on this one. I'm seeing Highland going to the semifinals on this one. They're playing some of the best defense I've seen Highland play in a couple years. They're really true. And Nick Sanchez and the Bulldogs are really going to have to play well in order to beat this team. And I'm seeing Highland and Jose Murillo moving on to the semifinals. And that game will be played March 11th. The semifinals will be March 11th at the Pit. So let's go to our next quarterfinal. Goddard and Valley. You remember my two high seed games, the number 12 and number 13 seeds, Goddard and Valley. I'm seeing Valley riding a wave. I'm just gambling here, okay? I'm just totally gambling on this. But I'm seeing Valley ride a wave, and I'm seeing them getting past Goddard because of that offense. And I think they're well coached, and I think they can pull some things off. Now, you know, it's just a total gamble. It could go the completely opposite way. We could see Academy and St. Pius in this game. But I'm gambling, and I'm saying Goddard and Valley. So I'm seeing Valley getting the win here onto the semifinal to play that epic classic rivalry of Highland versus Valley in the Pit semifinal, a rematch, right, of 2 years ago. So that should be exciting if it comes to fruition. Now, my third quarterfinal game is Espanola Valley against Del Norte. These two have had a little bit of history in the past where Del Norte has been able to go to Espanola Valley and get the W. This year, though, I'm seeing Espanola Valley pulling it off. But I think it's going to be another one of those type of games where it could end up being an overtime. I'm seeing an overtime too on this one because they're about evenly matched, and so I'm seeing this one going to be tight and down the wire if this comes to fruition. So I'm seeing Espanola Valley moving on to the semifinal at the Pit. Now, my fourth quarterfinal game is Berlin versus Taos. This one, like I said, if Berlin shoots well from outside, they can win. That's the truth. They can win. But this is one that's going to be another very close game. All these 4A games are going to be close in my opinion. And I think we're going to see a lot of exciting action throughout the 4A brackets. We're going to see a lot of overtimes. We're going to see some buzzer beaters. And we're going to have plenty to talk about. But I'm seeing Taos pulling this one out because when you win 20 plus games, you are somebody who knows how to win. You've been there before. You've been in the pressure situations, and you're able to get it done. You know what to do. You got that extra gear, and that's what I'm seeing in Taos and I'm seeing in Highland this year. So I'm seeing Taos against Espanola Valley in the second semifinal game at the Pit on March 11th. That's what I'm seeing. So now, with that going on, you already know my semifinal games. Highland versus Valley, Espanola versus Taos. Okay, so I'm going to tell you who's going to get to that championship Saturday game. Are you ready? Highland versus Valley. I'm seeing Highland overcoming Valley because I just don't think anybody has enough to really handle Jose Murillo, Alexis Dominguez, Gustavo de Ayala, and Fernando Hernandez, and Moreno and Raul Stafford. This is a really, really nice Highland team, and they do it with confidence, and it's hard to tell. They're just like a smooth running machine, and I'm seeing them finishing off Valley. I've seen them getting by Valley. Might be about a 10-point spread, give or take, but I'm seeing Highland getting by them and getting to the state title game. I'm seeing it for the the second time in 3 years. That's what I'm seeing. Now for my second semifinal, Espanola Valley against Taos. This is going to be possibly one of the best games in 4A, possibly in the state tournament. These two have faced off several times, and each time the winner is won by maybe a bucket. That's it. 2 points, 3 points, nothing more. That's how evenly matched these two teams are. This is going to be an OK Corral shootout right here. Espanola Valley, Taos in the semifinal. Espanola Valley won the last game. I'm thinking they'll ride that wave and they'll get to the state final. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, but it could go Taos. It really could. It could go either way. Like I said, like I've been saying, overtime. I've been saying a lot of overtime on this bracket, and I'm saying this could be another overtime game. But you never know. Somebody, the wave might break, some momentum might happen, and somebody gets blown out. That's usually something that does happen. But I'm seeing Espanola Valley against Highland in the state championship game, and I believe that's at 12 noon on Saturday, March 12th at the pit. So that's going to be an exciting game. Now, are you ready for my state championship pick? Here it comes. Highland against Espanola Valley. I'm seeing a fairly close game, but I'm seeing Highland getting the championship this year. I'm seeing it. And not because of Jose Murillo, but because of how well they're playing defense right now. They are playing some of the best defense I've seen in a while. And they're able to go up another gear. They've beaten teams like Belen with big size. They've beaten other teams like St. Pius with a lot of skill. And that's what they're doing. They are playing at another level. Even if they don't shoot well outside, they're still able to generate offense through that defense. And Espanola Valley could give them a hard time because of the experience and because they're a senior-laden team. But I'm seeing Justin Woody, head coach Justin Woody, getting the state championship. And by the way, Gabe Martinez of Espanola Valley, head coach Gabe Martinez, is doing a fabulous job over there. So this is my final pick, Highland for the state title in 4A this year. That's what I'm feeling. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they take care of business, and we don't have any first round upsets. Nothing like that. So, with that being said, I'll go over some quick details here. You can see all of this at Enchantment Sports. Should have that article up fairly soon in the next couple of days, where you can see where I've written it all out, and I'll give you the times, the schedules, the records, players to watch, things like that. So it should be pretty good and pretty exciting, and plenty of good reading, a nice resource for you, especially when you go to the state tournament. So let's move on to 5A on my next take. 5A on my next take, and I'll give you my picks for that. And we'll do the same format, all 16 teams, and I'll tell you who's going to win the 5A state championship. So stay tuned for that. All right, so now we are on to the 5A state tournament brackets. And I'm going to go through them because we got a lot to cover. Our first game is going to be number 1 seed Las Cruces against number 16 Albuquerque High. This game is going to be played at Las Cruces on March 5th. I believe this one's going to be at 4 p.m. at Las Cruces. And this one, I'm seeing Las Cruces moving on to the quarterfinal with William Deuce Benjamin and Isaiah Carr leading the way. I just don't think Albuquerque High has enough to handle this type of onslaught. So this one here, I'm seeing Las Cruces. Marquez King is definitely a player to watch for Albuquerque High. So definitely check that one out if you're watching online. I think that game will be streamed somewhere. So definitely check that one out. Our next game is going to be the number 8 Santa Fe against number 9 Sandia. And this one's going to be played at Santa Fe on March 5th. By the way, all first round games are March 5th, Saturday. So this one, I'm seeing a full crowd at Santa Fe, and I'm seeing a large, exciting, boisterous crowd. I have good feelings about it. And I'm thinking Santa Fe is going to pull this one out and move on to the quarterfinal with Paul Lovato and that group doing a really strong press. Sandia's got a lot of talent, and they've got Sean Johnson, a top player here in the state of New Mexico. And they got Andrew Hill and then Darren Moyer, and they've got Eli Lovato. And that team is definitely talented enough to beat Santa Fe, but can they beat the odds? I'm thinking Santa Fe is going to pull it out just because of all those other factors going on in that first round game. So in the quarterfinal, I have Las Cruces against Santa Fe for the first quarterfinal game. Our third first round game is a Trisco number 5 seed against number 12 El Dorado. This one is going to be played at a Trisco. Now, with this game, they've both been struggling a little bit. Trisco has had some injuries, and plus Adrian Ortega has retired and moved on to APS athletic director. So this time around, Trisco has had a little bit of difficulties. Normally at this time of year, they're cruising. But at the end here, they've been kind of struggling. But I think they'll pull this one out against El Dorado, who's also struggled this year, who's lost some players to other programs. And this one, I don't know what we're gonna see here, to be honest with you. I don't know which Trisco team is going to show up, but I'm thinking that Trisco is going to get it together because it's state tournament time. That's what they do. El Dorado's got Caleb Parham, a really nice junior at 6'2", really exciting player to watch. You're definitely going to have to check him out. So I see Trisco at the quarterfinal for the second quarterfinal game. Now my next one is number 4 seed Hobbs against number 13 Farmington at Hobbs High School. Now I'm seeing Hobbs winning this one. Hobbs has not lost very much this year. They've only lost to Odessa Permian in Texas, and they've only lost to Las Cruces by about 13-15 points. And I would say that Hobbs could easily be the second best team in the state or the third best team in the state next to Volcano Vista and Las Cruces. So I'm seeing Hobbs moving on because I think it's going to be difficult for Farmington to travel from the Four Corners and go about 300-400 miles is what it looks like, all the way down to the very bottom of New Mexico. People forget New Mexico is a big state, so Farmington's got a long trip to go, and they're going to be facing Jalen Gore and Aaron Mora, two exciting players, two top players in the state of New Mexico. And so that's going to be a very tough task. Cody Vasserstein is an exciting sophomore coming up, and he's going to be a junior, and he's definitely going to have a challenge. So this will be an experience for them. And Caden Yazzie is another one that seems to be rising for Farmington, and they're developing a nice basketball culture. So this is kind of a beginning, so to speak, for Farmington. I'm seeing a run out of them in the next 2 years. So I'm seeing in the quarterfinal, the second quarterfinal game, with Hobbs moving on, playing Atrisco. Now we're going to move down to number 3 seed La Cueva against number 14 West Mesa, and that'll be played at La Cueva High School. Now, here I'm seeing La Cueva moving on. They did lose to West Mesa, and they kind of had a lapse in that game at the end, and that's why they lost. But I'm seeing them ready this time around, and I've been saying in the last episodes that they needed more maturity. But they have Exodus Ayers, Cedarius Yates, Daniel Jacobson, Gabe Trujillo, and they have a really nice team going on there, and they're going to face Ty Barlow and I believe it's Brandon Lagunas. Forgive me if I get that wrong, but I'm seeing La Cueva overcoming and winning that game, especially at home, because they do very well at home. And so I'm seeing La Cueva moving on to the third quarterfinal game of the state tournament here. So the next game is number 6 Los Lunas, number 6 seed Los Lunas against number 11 Cleveland, and that's going to be played at Los Lunas. This game, Los Lunas was my preseason number 4 pick, and Cleveland was an honorable mention. And this one I'm going to gamble on again. I'm going to do some gambling like I did in 4A. This one, I'm seeing Cleveland doing the upset. I just feel like there's a run out of them possibly, because they got some really nice talent with Cole Savage. They have Daniel Staverson, a future top player. He's already right there at the cusp of it. And I'm seeing him becoming a future top player because he's going to be moving into his junior and senior year. They have Elijah Brody, another top player. And they also have Antonio Avila, moving on up. He's a senior, he's graduating, one of the better athletes in the state, plays all kinds of sports. And they're going to play against Jalen Holland, a top player in the state who's really coming on. He just received an offer from Western New Mexico, by the way. And Ezra Guest, a really nice player who gets a lot of buckets, and Jeremiah Ortiz. This game is going to be tight, but I have a feeling Cleveland's going to get through it, simply because Cleveland has gathered a lot of experience this year playing people like Las Cruces and Hobbs on the road. So they've been on the road, they've been in some hostile environments, and the Tigers of Los Lunas is definitely going to be a hostile environment for sure for a first round game, but I'm seeing them pull through. So I'm going to see Cleveland against La Cueva in that third quarterfinal game. So this should be interesting. Now for my next picks, number 7 Rio Rancho against number 10 Carlsbad. This one will be played at Rio Rancho High School. Here I'm seeing Carlsbad pulling off the upset. I'm gambling again. But Carlsbad's a pretty good gamble. It really is. They're very close. In fact, Carlsbad only lost to Rio Rancho by 1 point this year. Rio Rancho has played some tough teams, especially out of Texas in the Amarillo area. And they have a really nice player in Keegan Caton, who's definitely going to shine somewhere in college for sure. He's a nice outside shooter and does some nice things in the paint. Carlsbad has Damian Perez, who I think could be a really top player next season. Damian Perez is 6'5", and he's a point guard. Somebody, and I'd love to give this kid some credit, he told me, "Hey coach, Carlsbad's got a 6'5" point guard." And I'm like, yeah, right. And sure enough, they do. Sure enough, they do. And his name's Damian Perez, and this guy is shooting from NBA range, Damian Lillard, Seth Curry range. And he's got the step back. He does all these different things. He's going to be a player that we're going to talk about. And if Carlsbad gets past Rio Rancho, we might get to see him at the pit. We might, okay? But he's the X factor in this game. So I'm picking Carlsbad to pull this one out as an upset, but it's going to be close. This one I think is going to be really close. And we'll see them in the quarterfinal. Carlsbad in the quarterfinal for my 4th quarterfinal game. Now for number 15 seed Oregon Mountain against number 2 undefeated Volcano Vista. And this one will be played at Volcano Vista at the Hawks Den on the west side, and it's March 5th for those interested. I'm picking Volcano Vista on this one. Oregon, I want to say Oregon. It used to be called Oñate, but somebody apparently decided to change all that. So now it's Oregon Mountain, and Oregon Mountain is the name of the mountain that is on the east side of Las Cruces. So Oregon Mountain has Brandon Kirhes, who is a really nice 6'4", small forward guard type, who will definitely be a factor for them. And he's going to be one of those players that's going to hopefully keep them in the game against Volcano Vista. Now, Volcano Vista has Jaquan Hill, a top player in the state, along with Sean Alter, Kenyon Aguino, and you also have Jaden Malone, Caden Valdez, who's been a big factor this year. And this game, to me, it doesn't seem like this might be even close. I'm thinking Volcano Vista is going to go, blow this one out. But I could be wrong. I'm seeing Volcano Vista in the quarterfinal against Carlsbad. So let's go to the quarterfinals, because we still got a lot of games to cover. We've got about 6-7 games to cover here. The first quarterfinal, I have Las Cruces against Santa Fe. And this one, Santa Fe is going to have to really bring the press and shoot well outside against this team. Paul Lovato is definitely going to have a challenge against Isaiah Carr. And this one, if it plays out this way, will be played in Las Cruces. So Santa Fe is going to have to take a good, I would say, 300-mile trip down there. And I'm expecting Las Cruces to overcome Santa Fe and keep on rolling on the revenge tour. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Las Cruces going to the semifinals. Our next game, Atrisco against Hobbs. Hobbs is just rolling. They've been steady, consistent, and I don't see Atrisco being able to handle that right now this year at this stage of the game, given all that's happened to Atrisco this year. I'm seeing Hobbs moving on to the semifinals against Las Cruces, and we'll get to those, by the way. So with that, we're going to move on to La Cueva against Cleveland. Now, Cleveland, I think, is going to keep this run going, because I'm feeling the run, and might have my bracket busted, in the first round. But hey, I'm gambling this year. I'm gambling. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking Cleveland over La Cueva, but I think it's going to be very close, and I think it's going to be an intense game, and it will definitely be played at La Cueva. So that's going to be a factor there. But I'm thinking Cleveland might pull this out and get to that semifinal. So I'm picking Cleveland to get to the semifinal over La Cueva. My fourth quarterfinal game is Carlsbad against Volcano Vista. This one, I'm seeing a closer game. I'm seeing a game where I think Volcano Vista is still going to have more than enough to overcome Carlsbad. And I'm seeing Volcano Vista moving to the semifinal on this one. I don't think Carlsbad's going to be able to keep up with Volcano Vista, and they're going to have to take a lot of smart shots in order to stay in this ball game. I'm just seeing Volcano Vista rolling. It's that way with Cruces too. So, and speaking of Cruces, we're going to get to the semifinal games. These are going to be played at the Pit, March 11th. This is going to be on Friday. Check the NMAA Max Preps for times. And I think they're going to be on the brackets that you can probably print off of NMAA's website. So the semifinal, I have Las Cruces against Hobbs. I think this is going to be an epic game. This is going to be an epic game. And it might be a war, basically, because you got Jalen Gore, Aaron Mora against Isaiah Carr and William Deuce Benjamin. But I think Las Cruces is going to pull this one out. I think this one will go down to the wire. I still think Las Cruces is going to win it though, because they have so much and they have so many gears that they can go to, and I don't think Hobbs quite has that many gears to stay with them in order to pull out the victory. So I'm seeing Las Cruces in the state championship game on Saturday. Now for my other semifinal, which is Cleveland against Volcano Vista. This one, I'm seeing Volcano Vista getting by Cleveland. I think it'll be close for about 3/4, and then I could see Volcano Vista pulling ahead, because it's the same deal with just like Las Cruces. They have a lot of gears they can go to, and they've got a lot of solid contributors like Colt McCoy and those people, and so I'm seeing them really taking off in this game, and possibly, I'm thinking it might be a blowout, to be honest with you, but that's what I'm seeing. Volcano Vista in the state championship game on Saturday. So let's talk about the state championship game. The two undefeated teams in the whole state, Las Cruces and Volcano Vista. And by the way, here's a fun fact about these two. I'm picking these two to play each other on Saturday, March 12th in the pit for the 5A state championship. Here's a fun fact about them. They both competed at Section 7 in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer under the big lights of State Farm Stadium, the home of the NFL's Arizona Cardinals. So that's kind of interesting to me. They played a lot of tough competition there, Arizona and California teams, and they did pretty well. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're playing the way they are now, because they've been at that level and they've seen that level and they've seen what it takes. They all have nice players. Coach Greg Brown has been coaching really well this year, and William Benjamin has been doing an awesome job at Las Cruces. This game, I think, will be one of those classic sellouts. We're all going to be on a high moment of 15,000 people in that facility, in the pit. I'm seeing that. That's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling 15,000 in the pit for Saturday for that game. That's it. That's what I'm feeling. I'm thinking they're both going to make it there. They might run through a few roadblocks like Hobbs and Carlsbad and Cleveland a little bit, but I'm seeing these two meeting up. Now I'm going to give you my pick for who's going to win the title. I'm going with Las Cruces. I'm going with Las Cruces to win the whole doggone thing, to be honest with you. After watching them against Chapin, a very top-rated team in Texas, they beat them when they were number 8 out of 5A, which is 300 teams in Texas. Chapin was rated number 8, and they beat them. They pulled it out. They did everything they had to do to win. And Chapin right now is ranked number 12th in that state in 5A. So they're doing very well. And Cruces is on that kind of level. Cruces is on that level. And I think they got a chip on the shoulder, because you look at William Deuce Benjamin, he only has offers from New Mexico State. We're going to say UTEP. I'm going to assume UTEP on this one, Florida International. And he should be getting a lot more than what he's getting, because he's been fantastic. He's been a general this year. He's been way up on another level compared to anybody else in the state. I mean, I'll tell you right now, he's the top player in the state. The way he's been playing, he's just been gangbusters, just fantastic, and he should have a lot more offers than what he's getting, and it's a shame, to be honest with you. It's a shame that other schools have not noticed William Deuce Benjamin, but they should at this state tournament. That's what I'm feeling right there. And you could say the same for Jaquan Hill. He has had a steady year, and he's been gangbusters himself. He's been putting up 20 points a game basically, and he's been doing it in a machine-like effective manner. And he's another one that we're definitely going to have to watch during this tournament. And so we're going to have a lot of excitement the whole, I'm just kind of speechless. I'm not sure what to really say, any more explanatives to say what exactly, we're looking at, because we have the potential of 2 undefeated teams making it to the state final, and that's a great thing to have. And so I'm really excited about all of it, because frankly, I'm almost exhausted. The season's almost over. It's been kind of a rough month for me, and I'm ready to celebrate. I'm ready to have some fun at the pit and at these first round games. And I hope you are too. And so definitely get out there, go to GoFan, find your school, check out the games you want to see, buy your tickets online, and let's have a lot of fun this year, because we deserve it. We've earned it. We've gone through a lot these last 2 years, and it's time to celebrate and have some fun in March. And with that, I'm going to give you some more tips, some more things that are coming up. These picks will be on Enchantment Sports. There should be an article coming up soon, and it'll have all my picks. It'll have all the information, so you can check that out. And I'll have a top 5 video, a top 10 video of the NMAA's best. I'm going to call it my NMAA top 10, the players that played in the state at NMAA schools. And I'll have that coming out after the state tournament. I might even have some highlight videos and things like that, and some press conferences. And I'm going to start doing some exciting stuff in the future here, and we're going to see where this goes. So with all of that, I'm going to close it out. We're going to check out the state tournament, check the YouTube for more videos of what's going on at the state tournament, check my Twitter, and let's have some fun. Let's have some fun this year. So to recap, who's going to win the 4A state title? I'm picking Highland. And for the 5A state title, I'm picking Las Cruces. So with that being said, I thank you for watching. I thank you for playing. You guys have a fantastic night, and we'll see you at the pit.